Sega.
Hi, I'm Jef Bäkхэm, Associate Brand Manager at Sega, and I'd like to welcome you back to Part 2 of our training series for Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown. Now that you have learned the basics, it's time to learn how to do some serious damage to your opponents. In this video, we'll cover different ways that your opponents are affected by hits and how you can read their reactions to pile on even more damage. We will also cover ways to defend yourself when you find you're on the ground looking up at your opponent. So without further delay, let's begin. Launchers are the easiest way to start a combo, but one thing to know is that the weight class of your opponent affects how high they will get launched. A quick way to memorize these weight classes is to group the female characters in light, the males in medium, Wolf and Jeffrey in heavy, and Taka in a weight class of his own. Each character has many options in each combo situation. For now, here are a few of the new combos in Final Showdown. Every combo is unique, and other than doing a large amount of damage, always be aware of your surroundings and take advantage of walls or ring outs if you can. Floating your opponent isn't the only way to inflict major damage. You can also get them to stagger. While they are in this dazed, staggered state, a joystick icon will appear on the screen and they are vulnerable to attacks until they manage to regain their balance and composure. Even if the opponent recovers from the stagger successfully, you have the advantage and can pressure them with either a throw or more attacks. So how do you defend this situation? When you get hit and see that green joystick icon pop up next to your character, spin your joystick and input as many buttons as possible. How fast you recover depends upon how many inputs you can enter in a given amount of time. When the joystick turns red, that indicates the recovery period is about to end, so you should start planning your next move in order to regain the advantage. A quick tip on a way to safely recover from a stagger is to hold guard while the joystick icon is red, while continuing to add extra inputs. It is also important for veterans to know that elbows and mid-kicks will no longer stagger crouching opponents. In addition, in Final Showdown, if you hit an opponent with a mid-kick while they are backdashing, they will enter a floored, staggered state. Another way to start a combo is to hit your opponent so hard they bounce off the floor and into the air. New to Final Showdown are two types of bounce classes. The first is a small bounce, which lifts a character just off the floor. The second is a large bounce, which slams your adversary so hard that it almost brings them back on their feet. In certain cases, you can even use both bounce classes in a single devastating combo with the aid of a wall. Walls play an active and vital role in any Final Showdown match. When you perform a wall hit, you can increase your advantage, create stagger situations that weren't there before, and even extend the duration of combos. There are 4 main types of wall hits that you should be aware of. When you hit a person against a wall with a normal hit, more than likely you will get a normal wall hit. You will notice the wall shake, and you will have greater advantage. The second type of wall hit is one that combo enthusiasts thrive for, the wall splat. A wall splat will splatter your opponent across the wall like a fly to a windshield, giving you incredible opportunities for large combos. You can usually get a wall splat with a powerful move while being very close to a wall. Sometimes your move isn't powerful enough or close enough to create the wall splat effect. In this case, you will probably get a wall slide where your opponent will slide down the wall into a sitting position. With certain moves that normally don't have any special hit effects, you can hit your opponent against the wall and create a stagger. Another new addition to Final Showdown is the ability to break the wall. If you KO your opponent with a wall splat, the wall you hit them against will break away and will stay down for the remaining rounds. This enables you to perform a ring out. Aside from hitting your opponent into the wall, you can also use it with throws. Here are a few of the new ones in Final Showdown. Some characters in the game have the ability to run up the wall and either flip behind or attack their opponent. Use this to surprise them once in a while. Another way to gain an advantage and cause massive damage in Final Showdown is to perform counter hits. A counter hit occurs when your attack interrupts your opponent's attack. It is identified by a yellow flash on the screen. Most of the time, this occurs when either you and your opponent both attack while it's your advantage, or when there is no advantage and your move is quicker than your opponent's. In Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown, counter hit damage has been increased to 1.75 times the original amount. In addition to the increased damage, counter hit will sometimes change the properties of attacks, such as increasing the height of launchers. Or, some moves may only activate their special hit state on a counter hit. Also, every counter hit will give you an increased advantage over your opponent. In this situation, Jean gets the advantage by guarding Kage's elbow, and then hits Kage with an elbow of his own, creating a counter hit and maintaining the advantage. As long as Kage keeps trying to retaliate after this counter hit, his attacks get beat out. For Kage to regain advantage and retaliate successfully, he must first either guard or evade. Yet another way to take advantage of a vulnerable opponent and cause massive damage are ground attacks. Every character's ground attack is unique, so make sure you go through command training to find out which one is appropriate for your character. You can cause even greater damage with a pounce. Like ground attacks, each character has a unique input to execute this move. However, pounces take a lot longer to execute, so be strategic about when you use them. A few of the characters such as Aoi have the ability to throw grounded opponents. Some characters can even inflict damage on the ground using certain standard attacks. So how do you get out of these situations? For instance, when you are staggered, you can rapidly press inputs to get up quickly after you have been knocked down to the floor. Also, if you press the kick button, you will be able to fend off aggressive opponents with a lower mid attack. Be warned that if your opponent blocks this attack, you will once again be at a disadvantage. Since Virtua Fighter is a 3D fighting game, you can roll up, down, and away after being grounded. You can also do a rising attack from these positions. For veteran players, it is important to note that delayed rising attacks have been removed from the game. After certain knockdowns, you can avoid being completely grounded by performing a tech roll. To do this, press punch, kick, and guard simultaneously as your character touches the ground. You can also roll up and down, but not backwards. In some situations, you can avoid extra damage by performing this technique. Although you can get into action more quickly, so can your opponent. It is important to feel out the flow of the game and know when it's appropriate to tech roll and when to stay grounded. Now that you have learned how to nearly empty your opponent's life bar in a matter of seconds, here is an example match that applies the techniques you learned today. You might also notice some techniques in this video that we have not discussed. All of the advanced techniques such as fuzzy guarding and evade throw escapes will be covered in our next video. More importantly, we will talk about fighting game theory the Virtua Fighter way. Till then, enjoy the rest of the match. I'm Jef Bäkхэm, and I'll see you next time.
Fair?